Mr. President, this statement is delivered in consultation with the JFLAG, a Jamaican human rights organization. We commend the government of Jamaica on its efforts and acceptance of recommendations to protect and promote human rights, including for LGBT people. We are deeply concerned several recommendations do not enjoy its full support or at all. We understand some recommendations, such as amending the buggery law or legalizing abortion, are particularly sensitive. Notwithstanding, we urge the government to conduct a legal audit on the impact of several pieces of legislation has on vulnerable groups such as people living with HIV, LGBT people, women and girls, and people with disabilities. Mr. President, we are encouraged by the prioritization of the needs of vulnerable groups as expressed by the Minister of Justice during the UPR. We urge the government to review its social protection strategy with human rights organizations to ensure LGBT people, people living with HIV, street children and other vulnerable groups have better access to these available services. The inclusion of human rights education in the school curricula is commendable. This should be mandatory in all schools and include sessions on the rights of vulnerable groups and avenues for redress where rights are violated. We're deeply concerned about homelessness among LGBT people, especially adolescents, as a result of discrimination and violence. The government's response to homelessness is generally woefully insufficient. We urge that the government considers increasing the number of spaces available at existing shelters and make them more accessible to LGBT people. We recommend that parenting and community interventions include efforts to reduce the number of children and youth who are being kicked out of their homes because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. Mr. President, finally, we welcome the efforts of the government to establish the NHRI. We urge that it be structured to address the multi-layered way in which vulnerable groups, including LGBT people, experience discrimination and violence, and that it be so empowered to make complaints to both the government as well as international human rights bodies. Thank you, Mr. President.